Take two. I just tried to record this entire thing, and I got to about 10 minutes, and everything crashed out. You will have to forgive me too. My voice is starting to go. I'm starting to get sick, and after just recording a 10-minute video of this, my voice is starting to give out. Let me try and summarize what I had kind of tried to say before in the first video, before everything crashed out. The two main things on the Mass Effect ending. The first thing that a lot of people were hitting me with was indoctrination theory. Do I know about it? Do I understand it? Etc. I did research it. I really love indoctrination theory. In fact, I'm going to get back to that. The problem with indoctrination theory, though, is that it's not an ending to the game. If indoctrination theory is true, and that is that the whole Citadel scene was all in Shepard's head, that this was him breaking indoctrination, and all of what happened in that ending never actually happened. It was all in Shepard's head. Well, the problem is now you are without an ending. That's not an ending at all. The Reapers are still there. The threat's still there. There's no closure to absolutely anything. That's not an ending. So indoctrination theory, I love it. I think it's an awesome idea, but it's not an end to the trilogy. Moving on, the second point that a lot of people made to me was that, you know, you're being a little bit hard, Toegoff. The game was amazing, and the game was great. The trilogy is amazing, and the trilogy is great. You're being a little bit hard just because you didn't like the ending. I would like to stand on that I would have given the game a 9.8 range, probably one of the highest that I would feel comfortable giving on a game, maybe even a 10, depending on the ending. Because of the ending, I give it maybe an 8 to a 7.8. Why? Why is that so important? Why would the ending itself bring everything down? I think a really big part of my rating system, at least the way that I play games, is my desire to go back and my desire to play it again. And when you have an entire trilogy like the Mass Effect trilogy, it would feel odd just replaying one or two. I'd feel I'd have to replay the entire trilogy again. They are all, I mean, it's really one of the few amazing trilogies that follows one character throughout 3 games like that. It's really, really remarkable and amazing how successful it was. Because of that ending, I will never really want or desire to play it all over again. And that's a pretty strong statement, but to me it's pretty true. I am so disgusted and angry at it that I could never see myself really reloading it up again. And I think the leading reason behind all of that, folks, is if you want to emotionally connect your players to a game, no one is emotionally connected to Modern Warfare or Battlefield or Halo or any of them. They're fun games for a lot of people. I don't particularly enjoy them, but there's a lot of people that do. But no one really plays them for the heart-wrenching story and for the ethical choices. If you want to do that, BioWare, power to you. But it is a very dangerous sword to wield. No one was angry when at the ending to Superman 64, anyone who managed to get through that entire game, no one was angry at it because the game kind of sucked. You knew the ending was going to suck. Mass Effect 3, though, built you up so much. It was amazing how some of the choices from the first 2 games really impacted the play throughout the third. So at the end, you want everything. You want to see all the culmination of 3 games of, let's say, 40 hours per game, 30 hours per game, taking 100 hours. You want to see the culmination of 100 hours of gaming condensed to your final moments, to that final victory. And we didn't get that at all. I have a very, very hard time believing that the BioWare developers and the story writers sat back with the ending that they gave us and said, you know what? We're proud of this. This ending, this really brings together what people should feel when they think of Mass Effect. We want them to think of this ending. All of this coming together. Can you think of one developer who would have thought of that? Would you? So, if not, now you run a very dangerous thing of it was garbage. It really was. The I won't even go into the promises made that, how amazing this ending was supposed to be. It was horrible by the standards that we put on BioWare. You emotionally invest your players. You weave this storyline that really is beautiful and touching at points. I think many of us could say that there were plenty of moments in the game where we were choked up. I know there was plenty when I was. The game got me to reload, and anyone who followed me, I don't reload choices really. The only time I ever have in the past is when the character does something I completely did not want them to do. It just made no sense. The character did something exactly opposite to what I wanted them to do. That's not really a reload. But when I knew the consequences and I had to reload, that's doing something powerful, BioWare. I put myself on a pretty high standard, so to speak, for storytelling, and you got to me, which props to you. That's amazing. I could not wait while playing the game, while playing through 3, to go back and start 1 again and play through 2 again and finish it with 3 again. Now I never want to touch the trilogy again. That's being really harsh though, Toegoff. I mean, everything else was great, just the ending. The ending is, I would argue, one of the most important parts of a story. It it has to bring together everything beautifully. It can leave little things open, and so it should, because the fans can sometimes talk or come up with their own theories or anything like that. But it needs to be more. It needs to really give you something. And that was the problem with this ending, was that it gave you the same thing. Now I can understand an artistic look that, well, no matter what you do, no matter what the journey is, the destination can sometimes always be the same. Well, you know what, BioWare? No! I've emotionally invested myself into this game, as have many other players. And this is... You don't have to smack us with real-world logic. We play video games to escape. All forms of entertainment are pretty much escape. We want to escape from reality. Now, this doesn't mean a perfectly happy ending where everyone gets together, but it could be that, and we would have been happy with that. It left so much open and so much unconcluded, except for, as I said, if indoctrination is true, we have an entire 4th game, which they've pretty much said they're not going to do. If indoctrination is not true, then everything is dead. We now have an entire, multiple armies all surrounding Earth. Everything is wiped out. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you, well, you can't, I mean, it just seems that there's so much to the game that could have been expounded upon that I love sitting back on an ending, putting my hands behind my head, and the journey. The journey led me here. And there will people who say that, the journey can sometimes be more important than the destination, and I'll agree that a great ending with a shitty storyline is not anything. But the same, a shitty ending to a great journey, it brings down the entire journey. And what I like to do, I don't like to just complain about anything. I like to kind of come up with a solution to what I think would have been awesome. I love indoctrination theory. I think that theory is really, really cool. The idea that Shepard's fighting this. What I would have liked to have seen, and this is just a wild theory that I came up with this on the car ride home, um, a split path, a real split path that maybe even forks in other directions. You can kind of do with it, but a major splitting point, similar to The Witcher 2, but much later in the game for Mass Effect 3. Your choices, so to speak, would be that control the Reapers or destroy them. You destroy the Reapers, you break indoctrination, you wake up as a human, and you have to figure out how to fight the Reapers. You become indoctrinated, and you take control of the Reapers. They actually take control of you, but you think you have control of them, and the game constantly leads you that way for an entire quarter of the game, that you've been indoctrinated, and you don't know it. You think you're in control of these things, but you're not. And maybe manipulate the player into believing that what they're doing is for the greater good of the galaxy, and they might, as an indoctrinated, what I would have liked to have seen in an ending of that is Ashley, or Kaiden, I think it was Kaiden was his name, kills you in the end, and you think you're being killed by a normal trooper or something like that. You realize it's them, and you flash back to a lot of the missions that you had run through the last quarter of the game as an indoctrinated Reaper, where you were actually fighting against the Alliance, and something kind of like that, but enough that it would make you scratch your head, and it would make you think. Again, this is just something I've come up with, and I haven't really hashed out any details, but just something to think about. And my voice is just about ready to give out. But ultimately, that's why, folks, I was so angry at the ending, and why it's brought down my entire Mass Effect experience. Enough so that if I were to recommend the game to someone, I would have to say that. I would have to say, but the ending, dude, it's almost like you don't want to make this journey. And that's really painful as a passionate video game player. Um, it is what it is. I hope that kind of helps to explain some of my thought process through, that it was more of a joke than anything last night. That was my first reaction to it, was, fuck you, BioWare. But, actually sitting down with it, and you can kind of hear my thoughts a little bit more. I'm more than happy to discuss any of it on my forums. I'm more than happy to, explain anything, or go beyond anything. I would love to hear from, the opposite side, so to speak. But that's that, folks. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see what other Let's Plays are on the horizon, and I do hope you enjoyed Mass Effect 3. Thank you for watching, everybody.